So I had a sabbatical a number of years ago now, and I thought I'd love to write about heroes in the Bible who actually aren't so heroic, as a bit of a sabbatical discipline, but also as a way of bringing together stuff I'd taught on over the years. And I tried to get it published, and that didn't quite happen. Enter Liz.
So about 18 months ago, I just really felt that what James had been talking about in his book was something that the church as a whole needed to hear. I think he writes in a great way. So I persuaded him to revisit the book, and enough years had passed that the pain of rejection had gone. And also he was less attached to every word, and he generously let me join in on the venture, so I got to help him reshape and rewrite and fit it for publication.
Which, when Liz says write in a great way, she means writes terribly, speaks well, and she made it written in a good way.
So it's clearly a joint effort. Now, I'm sure we're all looking forward to reading the book, but could you just give us a précis of kind of what it's about in a kind of overview?
It takes biblical people from the Bible. So it starts with Abraham, and it goes through great key figures from the Old Testament: Moses, Jacob, Joseph.
Not in that order.
Not in that order, all the way through to the disciples and Mary. And it looks at their story, it shows us talks about what the Bible tells us, and tries to sort of see what we can learn about their stories from their faith, because at the end of the day, they're people just like us.
And I think the danger is we read about like David and Goliath, so we think the people in the Bible were incredible heroes, but actually David has his really bad bits, as do all of them. And rather than being intimidated by them, we should be inspired by them.
Now, I know you obviously said you started writing it a while ago, and Liz, I think it's you who felt that now was the time that this book needed to be written.
Yeah.
Why particularly at the moment?
I think I'd spent a lot of time that year, it was a couple of years ago, talking to people whose faith had been really shaken. There'd been some stuff going on in churches where leaders had failed, and it seemed to me that maybe their faith had been more in the leader than in God, and it was just a time to refocus people's attention on God. And you know, if you're trusting in a person, we're all going to mess up, we're all going to let you down. So it was trying to speak into that culture.
And who would you say the book's particularly aimed at? Is it any one group?
I'd like to think it's aimed at anybody who has faith or is interested in faith. The obvious title bit talks about leadership, but actually all of us influence people in our lives. And also, as Liz said, it may be our faith has been shaken because of leaders, so we may need to read it. What's excited me is we've had some people in their 20s who've read it, who said they laughed and cried. I've just heard about a lady in her 80s who's just read it and gone, I need to buy more copies for people I want to give it to.
I'd love people to read it, and from reading it get excited about reading the Bible for themselves, for praying for themselves. So it's about leaders in the Bible, but we're all leaders in our own sphere, you know, whether it's within a family or within friends, and so I think it's for anyone.
Now, you both are leaders in your own right. You're Bishop of Plymouth, you're a priest now, and you're in a position of leadership. Do you feel that pressure to kind of look like you are the kind of perfect leader or not get it wrong because you're in these kind of public-facing roles?
No, I have Liz to make sure that I don't think I can think I'm a perfect leader, and more importantly, our boys would do that more strongly. I don't think any of us need to fake it and pretend we're perfect. That's the whole point of the book. Nobody is. Nobody's going to be other than Jesus. We need to be real. There are places where we need to be professional. We need to hold up our leadership and not just splurge everything everywhere. But we need to be honest that we're not the honed perfect article. We're just normal imperfect heroes.
That's a great plug for the book. Thank you. I mean, one thing I'd say was interesting is you've written it as a couple together, so you know, as you say, each other's good bits and all the flaws, and you get to see the package all the time. Yeah. Do you think that brought a different dimension to the book when you were kind of editing it together?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the key things we learned through running a church together and having young children in that church is that we needed to be authentic and honest, and we couldn't try to be anything that we weren't. And being authentic means like admitting when you've got it wrong and spurring each other on to be better. So that's kind of how the book writing process went, I think. It was robust and
I'm glad it's done.
No, well done. It's really impressive. If nothing else, it's great, and it's got a lovely cover. Do you think the church particularly has a message for society at this time about treating leaders as real people, not cancelling them if they get it wrong, perhaps being kinder and not trying to scapegoat?
I think it's a real challenge to us. We live in a world of cancel culture, a world where we put people on pedestals and want them to be perfect and amazing, whether that's leaders or celebrities, and then equally we like to see them fall off. and we're disappointed in them at the same time when they fall off, and we have that conflicted, complicated relationship, which also leads to people going, well, you've done wrong, out the door, we don't want anything to do with it anymore, and blaming and scapegoating. And that's not the way the Bible talks about people at all. People mess up, and the whole point of Christian faith is God offers us a way back. He offers us forgiveness and redemption and restoration. I have to say, in the middle of that, we do need to be real about the consequences of failure, particularly where people have been hurt by our failure. It's not cheap grace. It's not that God goes, oh, well, never mind. God takes very seriously the pain we cause others. And if we hurt others, it may be that we're not capable or appropriate to carry on leading. But for most of us, what we need to hear is actually God offers redemption, fresh start, time and time again. And we don't have to be perfect because we're not. We're forgiven.
Thank you so much. And this is your first book together. Will you be writing another one?
No, never again. Liz probably will write many more books. I'm out of here.
Well done. Could you just hold it up so we can see it before you head off? Thank you. That's brilliant. Available in all good bookshops, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.